Auto gain.
This is how most microphones work in these cameras. They're designed to pick up sound automatically, and if the sound is very, very loud, the camera circuits kind of shut down to give a better result. If, on the other hand, the sound is very quiet, like a whisper, the camera actually, the sensitivity actually increases, and it picks up the whisper from a distance, or tries to. There is a shortcoming of this, because again, it's automatic. What does automatic equate to? Automatic equates to not being in control, in my estimation. That's what automatic means. Here we are not in control, because you're going to see a shot of this girl, and she's chatting, and she's talking away, but then her associate starts to chisel and pick with a hammer. Well, the camera says, uh-oh, I suddenly hear this loud chiseling noise. I better shut my circuits down. So the girl who's talking, the voice I'm trying to record, suddenly her voice gets dramatically lower.
So this bone here was probably anchored down right in the riverbed on this end. And this part here that's kind of skinnier was probably floating around in the direction of the stream. And little tiny bones would have been next to it.
Now, do you know that's happening when you're actually recording? You don't know that's happening until you get back and watch your tapes.
Flow away because the big bone would kind of have protected the little ones.
It's all because the girl started chiseling. It's going to happen again. For those that didn't catch it, just run it again.
That's why we have to be so careful when we dig around the bone. When we go a little bit further away, we use a chisel, but when we get close up, we use this thing. Do you guys remember what this is? Have you ever seen one of these? Yeah, where have you seen it?
It's about now that you want to pull a gun out and shoot that other one, right? Unfortunately, we've been telling you throughout the course that most cameras now coming out on the market are giving you the ability to change the exposure manually in some way. But not as many cameras are coming out quick enough with manual control for the sound. I wish they were adding it more and more. They're starting to add it to some of the higher end cameras, but many cameras are still not available, and it creates these types of nightmares all the time. Another nightmare is, for example, let's say you're shooting a seminar speaker like ourselves in this room. As I'm talking now, everything's fine. Now, if I shut up for a minute, which is very rare, the mic is now trying to pick up whatever there is in the room. What it picks up is the room hum. So what I'm going to hear when I play this tape back is I'm going to hear myself talking, then it's going to be, I'm going to stop talking, then you're going to hear, like it's kind of a hum. And what it is, it's just the auto circuit trying to detect whatever available sound there is. And it keeps trying and trying and trying, and it takes about 5 seconds for it to reach maximum potential, and that maximum potential is nothing in this room except the ambient hum. And although our ears may not hear too much hum, there's a lot of hum in this room, and believe me, it'll pick it up. So what happens is quite often you're doing a wedding or something, and there's a quiet part during the wedding or during the speaker talking. So suddenly this is what you get on your camera. Everything's great, talking, quiet. The person starts to talk again, that cuts out the hum. The person pauses. It's ridiculous. Your whole video is constantly this hum coming back up, hum coming back up, hum coming back up. How do you get around it? Well, you're pretty well stuck with these consumer level cameras. You can't do much. If you have a camera which lets you control the audio, then what you do is you set the background volume levels to a certain level so that they respond well to the voice, but cannot detect quiet sounds. And that's just a case of turning your volume controls down on your sensors that are built into these more advanced cameras, and therefore you don't get that room hum coming up. But unfortunately, like I say, we don't have it for most cameras.
You may be able to achieve a similar result by feeding your microphone into an inexpensive audio mixer and then into the camcorder. By adjusting the recording level of the microphone through the mixer, you reduce the effective sensitivity of the camcorder's automatic gain circuit. This helps offset the problem of fluctuating room noise. It was blasting loud close to this band, but listen to how well the auto gain circuits shut down to produce good sound.
Our first experience with this auto gain happened when we first got our first video camera. We bought it in 1972, and we went and we videotaped a rock concert in Edmonton. And this was quite the concert. They had huge speakers. They went from the ground to the sky, and this thing was so loud. We had cotton in our ears for the whole weekend, and my ears were ringing for 3 days afterwards. And we thought, we don't know what kind of sound we're going to get. It's obviously going to be totally distorted and totally wiped out because we just had our little black and white camera there with a little automatic mic on there. We figured we're going to have the most useless sound, but we'll watch it anyway.
Actually, we thought the cameras weren't going to be working after that. We really figured they're fried.
Yeah. Anyway, we got back, and the tapes were wonderful. Absolutely, just like you saw with this clip here. Just clean. We heard it better on the video than we did it live when we were there. So they do a pretty good job, and that's why they are designed for the most part to work automatically. And I would say for the most part, they do a pretty good job if you're aware of their limitations.
I really feel the bias on these things is to the loud volumes, like the really loud sounds they seem to compensate for. And as a result of that, the corollary to that is that to the soft sounds, they compensate too by trying to let the soft sounds in. And as a result, that's why I say you keep getting this hum, this noise coming up every time you're quiet. So they work good on the high end, not so good on the other end, in your favor.
Now, let's see whether the auto gain can react quickly enough to a shotgun blast.
We're with Myron Ackman, who's going to be firing a shotgun into the wilderness to attract additional campers to the campsite. This is a very interesting shotgun. It looks like the type of thing the Mafia would use. And we are ready for action. I'm just going to back up slightly.
I'm going to aim a little bit more. Just stick it this way.
Back up slightly.
I'll go left of foot. Right there? Perfect. Ready, Malcolm?
I don't think there's a bear within 50 miles now of this camp.
Now, he said, I don't think there's a bear within 50 miles of this camp. I don't think there's a bear within 50 miles of this camp should tell you something. That was loud. I mean, I shot that thing off. I don't shoot shotguns every day. That thing was loud. It sounded like a little pop. Pop, pop, wimp, pop. Okay, that's the auto gain circuits shutting down right away. Again, if I had manual control of my camera with my volume controls, and if I left the volume controls for neutral, and if I had manual control, that would sound like a gun going off, which is what I wanted in this particular case. On the other hand, I talked to a fellow who once went to shoot some cannons that were firing off for the army barracks. He went to a show where they're firing cannons, and he had manual control of his volume levels, and he told me he set them right, but he says if you didn't set them right, and you didn't know what you were doing, you would blow out the circuits completely from the noise. So that's what they're doing. They're trying to prevent consumers from damaging their camcorders by not knowing how to handle these volume controls. There is a possibility with manual control to totally blow out the circuits.
If you used that tie clip, you would have heard the gun properly?
The question is, if I would have used this tie clip microphone, would I have heard the gun properly? The answer is no, because the auto gain circuits are still trying to shut down.
They're in the camera.
They're in the camera themselves, okay? So it's not the microphone that's causing the problem, it's the circuitry in the camera itself. That seemed like a bigger kick than the last one.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was a bigger shell. I think I used a bigger shell. No, it couldn't be from the same box. Give me a bigger kick.
Those are the comments of Myron Ackman after firing the gun into the wilderness.
And one more test for good measure, a mudjacking auger at close range.
As loud as that was, and it was loud, it gave a very faithful reproduction considering it's a relatively inexpensive mic on a camera, and it goes to show you again that the auto gain can work for you quite well. Otherwise, it's possible, if you didn't know what you were doing here, like Myron was saying, and the cameras didn't have that feature, it's possible that sound would have been so loud and so distorted, it would have just sounded like mush. But the auto gain did do the trick.